Chosen one, you've been ignoring your greatest weapon. Listen, you've been carrying something far more powerful than you've ever realized. In fact, it's been with you all along. Quietly waiting, silently observing, patiently enduring every trial with you. It's not outside of you, not hidden in the world, not something you need to chase or borrow. It's inside you, and it's time you finally turned toward it. The reason so many battles have felt heavier than they should, the reason breakthroughs have felt distant, is because you've been ignoring the very thing God equipped you with to win. That weapon isn't made of metal or fire. It's deeper. It's divine. It's your greatest weapon, and the truth is, it's been silenced by your own doubt, buried under fear, and dismissed in the name of humility. But no more. Not after today. Stay with this video until the very end. This moment might just unlock something that's been waiting to be activated for years. If you're ready to see change, not just in your life, but in the lives of those around you, then commit to this message all the way through. And write your warmest wishes in the comments below, along with the number 777. This isn't just about a habit, it's a vibration, a code of activation. It tells the universe you're present, ready, and open to receive. Let's awaken something bigger today. In you and through you. Now, chosen one, like this video, subscribe if you haven't, subscribe to the channel, and let's start. Chosen one, you've been ignoring your greatest weapon, and what's most incredible is that this weapon isn't just meant to defend, it was meant to create. You are not just a soldier in this spiritual landscape. You are an architect, a builder, a creator through divine partnership. But if your hands are tied and your mouth is closed, if your spirit is asleep and your focus is scattered, then that weapon lies dormant. What is it? What have you overlooked? It's your voice. It's your truth. It's the sound that was forged in the presence of pain, refined in the fires of testing, and empowered by the spirit of endurance. Your voice isn't just a tool for communication. It's a force of transformation. Heaven hears it. Darkness fears it. And the earth is waiting for it. Your voice is a signature of heaven, encoded in sound. It's not the volume that matters. It's the vibration. You were given a voice, not just to speak, but to shift atmospheres, to declare and dismantle, to awaken and realign. But how many times have you silenced yourself to make others comfortable? How many times have you swallowed your truth to keep the peace, even as it tore you apart inside? How many prayers have you whispered when you were meant to roar? You were made for declaration. You were made to call things into alignment, not just in your life, but in your generation. And when you ignore that, when you keep your power trapped in your chest, the world misses out on something sacred. Chosen one, let's be real. Life taught you to stay silent. Pain trained you to second-guess your voice. The moment you realized that people were intimidated by your clarity, you started to mute yourself. You began to think that being quiet was the same as being humble. But let's destroy that lie right now. Humility is not the absence of power. It's the willingness to use that power for good, with reverence and obedience. You can be powerful and humble. You can speak with boldness and still carry grace. Your voice was never meant to blend in. It was meant to break chains. And those chains don't just live in others. They've been hiding in you too. Chains of guilt, chains of fear, chains of what if I fail, chains of I'm not ready. But your voice was crafted to pierce the silence of that fear and call you forward anyway. What you've been ignoring is not just your voice, it's your authority. There's a difference between sounding good and speaking with spiritual authority. The former impresses people, but the latter moves dimensions. And you don't get that authority from titles or applause. You get it from intimacy with God and obedience to His call. That's where your voice is born, not from performance, but from presence. Your greatest weapon is when your words align with your spirit, when what you say agrees with what heaven has already declared over you. But if your mouth is filled with defeat, complaint, comparison, and delay, then you're speaking against your own breakthrough. That's what the enemy wants, for you to misuse your voice until you forget how powerful it is, but not anymore. You're waking up now. Chosen one, your voice isn't just for declarations. It's for decision. It's how you cut ties with what no longer serves you. It's how you speak boundaries, how you redirect your future, how you stand in rooms that once tried to erase you. There's something sacred about being able to say no to chaos and yes to clarity. There's something holy about silence when it's chosen, and something unstoppable about sound when it's aligned. This weapon, your voice, it's not about yelling louder. It's about speaking from the place of knowing who you are, knowing who sent you, knowing why you're still here. You don't need to scream. You need to speak with alignment. And that kind of sound creates ripple effects in both natural and spiritual realms. You were equipped with this weapon long before you were aware of it. But now, you've seen too much to stay silent. You've survived too much to not speak. Your voice is the evidence that your spirit is still alive. And as long as you still have it, you have the power to change everything. Chosen one, you've got to stop thinking your voice only matters when people agree with you. Your authority isn't rooted in their validation. It's anchored in your obedience. That means even if they don't clap, even if they walk away, even if they mock what you say, if it's from God, it will not return void. And your voice carries that truth. You've let fear tell you that you're too much. You've let the past convince you that no one will listen. But hear this. Even if no one listens now, the heavens do. The spirit realm does. And when you speak in truth, you realign the heavens to your favor. You are called to shift things, not just in your circle, but in your legacy. And your voice is the key. Don't let what happened in your past mute what God is doing in your present. Don't let the fear of being misunderstood stop you from being impactful. You don't need to shout in every room, but you do need to speak where you're assigned. Because the one moment you hesitate may be the moment someone else was waiting to be freed by what you carry. This is not just about motivation. It's a call to spiritual war. And your weapon has been rusting under layers of self-doubt. It's time to sharpen it. It's time to lift it. Your voice is more than sound. It's your sword. It cuts through illusion. It slices through stagnation. It opens paths where there was no path. But it only works if you use it. Start with yourself. Speak life over your day. Speak clarity into your confusion. Speak strength into your own body. Stop waiting for someone else to affirm what God has already declared. Say it now, say it out loud. Whisper it if you must, but speak. And once you remember how to use it for yourself, use it for others. Speak encouragement, speak healing, speak truth, speak deliverance. Your words can uproot lies that have lived in people for decades, but they can't if you stay quiet. You've been given a divine voice. Not everyone has that. Some speak, but few shift. You're one of the few. You carry a sound that's encoded with purpose. And when you speak from that place, you're no longer just existing. You're activating destinies. You've been walking through seasons where silence seemed like survival, where saying nothing felt safer than stepping forward. You've looked around at a world filled with noise, and thought, why add more? But chosen one, your voice is not just noise. It is frequency. It is vibration. It is revelation. You don't speak to be heard, you speak to release. And what you're releasing is not just words. You're releasing divine codes, kingdom energy, and spiritual authority every time your voice aligns with heaven. This is why the enemy has fought your voice so hard, because he's not just afraid of what you'll say, he's afraid of what will happen when you finally say it. He knows your voice is a weapon that can unseat principalities, break ancient strongholds, and awaken the dormant. He knows that when you stop doubting your gift and start activating your command, there will be a shift, not just around you, but in realms you cannot yet see. That's why the attack came in the form of silence. That's why shame tried to suffocate you. Because the moment you speak from alignment, heaven responds, and hell trembles. You've been sitting on too much, carrying revelations you were supposed to release, hiding insights that were meant to light the path for others. And some of you feel like no one wants to hear what you have to say. But this was never about popularity. It was about purpose. You're not here to be liked. You're here to lead. And your leadership begins when your voice finds courage again. Stop underestimating the sound you carry. You think you're just sharing a thought, but you're actually unlocking someone's next level. You think you're just telling your story, but you're really dismantling generational chains. You think you're just praying in private, but you're opening dimensions in the spirit. This is not small. This is supernatural. And the time for you to rise in your vocal power is now. You've been equipped for this, even if you haven't trained for it. The call on your life didn't wait for your confidence to catch up. It was there when you were trembling. It was there when you were running. And now that you're awakening, that weapon must be brought forward, not polished to impress, but sharpened through use. Every word you speak in truth brings clarity to someone else's confusion. Every time you speak life, light is released. And when light is released, darkness loses ground. Chosen one, it's not just about how you speak to others. It's about how you speak to yourself. What are you saying in the silence of your mind? What language have you normalized in your soul? Because your inner dialogue is either activating your weapon or disarming it. You can't call yourself powerless and expect to walk in dominion. You can't keep rehearsing defeat and expect to manifest victory. You must begin to speak to yourself with divine authority. Say it, I am chosen, I am equipped, I am ready, I am aligned. Speak to the cells in your body. Speak to the fear in your belly. Speak to the storm in your mind. You don't need a stage to start. You need agreement. When your mouth comes into agreement with the truth of your spirit, mountains begin to shift, barriers break, healing flows, chains fall. It starts now. Say it even if your voice trembles. Say it when doubt creeps in. Say it when you feel unseen. Don't wait to feel powerful. Speak until power rises. You are not speaking empty affirmations. You are speaking heavenly declarations. Your voice was built for it. And here's something else many overlook. Your voice doesn't always mean literal speaking. Sometimes it's the energy behind what you write. Sometimes it's the spiritual power in your silence. Sometimes it's in your presence, your decisions, your discernment. Your voice is the total expression of your alignment with heaven. And when it all flows from truth, it becomes a weapon sharper than any sword. That's why you've felt such resistance when it's time to speak your truth. That's why fear tries to shut you down before you begin. Because what's inside of you isn't just a word, it's a wave. And once released, it creates a shift in the spiritual atmosphere. You don't need everyone to understand you. You need to be faithful to what God put in you. Your responsibility is to speak. God handles the impact. Chosen one, let's go deeper. Your voice has been silenced not only by fear but by fatigue. You've been tired, spiritually drained, emotionally worn. And in that exhaustion, you lost the will to speak up. You let circumstances dictate your vocal power, but now you're awakening again. That energy you feel returning. That's not just recovery, that's restoration. God is breathing on your weapon again. It's not too late. You haven't missed it. Even if you have ignored your voice for years, it's still there. Your weapon is still waiting to be lifted. You're not disqualified. You're not discredited. In fact, your delay has only sharpened your discernment. Now, when you speak, it won't be from ego. It'll be from truth. That's what makes it dangerous. That's what makes it sacred. There's someone who needs your voice more than you know. They've been waiting on a word, not from a pulpit, but from someone real, someone like you, someone who's walked through fire and came out with wisdom, someone who understands pain and still chooses light. That someone is you. You are the voice for the voiceless, the sound of divine timing, the frequency of breakthrough. Don't let the enemy trick you into thinking your voice is irrelevant, that your story is ordinary, that your wisdom is too broken to be helpful. Lies, all lies. You are anointed for this, and your voice, shaped by your experiences, refined by your tears, strengthened by your trials, is the very sound this generation has been waiting for. It's time to start using it, not in arrogance, not to dominate, but to liberate. Speak because you're aligned, not because you want attention. Speak because the Spirit told you to, not because you're trying to prove something. When your voice comes from that place, from obedience, miracles happen. This is the divine weapon you've been ignoring, the sacred sound of your surrender, the echo of heaven in your own language, the roar of freedom hidden in your chest. Let it out. Release it. Use it wisely, but use it. Your voice is not a luxury, it's a lifeline. And the moment you start using it again, everything begins to shift. Even now, as you read these words, there's a stirring in your soul. That's not random. That's confirmation. That's your weapon waking up. That's your spirit remembering. That's your inner command rising again. And it will not go back to sleep. Speak into your home. Speak into your future. Speak over your finances, your relationships, your purpose. Every word you release in truth carries the code of transformation. Speak boldly. Speak in love. Speak in authority. And speak knowing this. The time of your silence is over. There comes a point in every chosen one's journey when silence is no longer safe. It becomes sabotage. You've reached that point. The days of shrinking are over. The moments of maybe later have expired. Now is not just a good time, it's a divine time. The atmosphere around you is shifting because your inner atmosphere is being stirred. It's been dormant for too long, but this was never about being loud. This was about being aligned. You've been prepared for this without even realizing it. Every setback you survived, every betrayal you endured, every disappointment you outlived, all of it shaped your voice. It sharpened it. It refined your sensitivity. It deepened your discernment. And now that the layers of pain have fallen off, what remains is the raw, unfiltered frequency of your divine purpose. That's your weapon. It's not just sound, it's legacy. But let's be clear. This weapon must be wielded with wisdom. You're not speaking from pain anymore. You're speaking from power. That means your voice no longer reacts. It responds. It doesn't compete. It commands. You don't raise your voice to overpower, you raise your vibration to shift. This isn't just about saying things, this is about strategic release. And when you release from a place of alignment, the earth responds. You will see doors open. You will see atmospheres adjust. You will see the evidence of your voice in the changes around you. Chosen one, remember this. There is a difference between noise and sound. Noise is random. Sound is intentional. You've been called to release intentional sound, words that heal, truth that cuts through fog, wisdom that doesn't need explanation. You've been mistaking your clarity for confrontation. You've been silencing yourself to avoid discomfort, but your clarity is not conflict. It's correction, and correction doesn't always feel good, but it's always necessary. You carry that correction, not to judge, but to restore, not to punish, but to realign. That's why your voice is so unique. It doesn't just echo, it awakens. It doesn't just comfort, it convicts. And that's why people don't always know how to receive you. Because what you speak carries weight, even when you don't mean to. But never let that cause you to retreat. You weren't meant to fit in. You were meant to realign what's been broken. Let's talk about the influence of unspoken truth, the truth you carry in your chest that you've been too afraid to release. The insight, the warning, the revelation, the encouragement, all of it bottled up inside because you weren't sure if the time was right. But here's the truth. Every delay in your voice delays someone else's freedom. When you don't speak, someone stays bound. That's how powerful you are. That's how dangerous your voice is. Dangerous to the darkness. This isn't just about reclaiming your voice for yourself. This is about releasing others too. You are a carrier of divine clarity. You don't just talk, you transmit. Your words are laced with anointing. Your tone carries prophetic fire. Your phrases are designed to interrupt cycles of defeat. That's why you've been misunderstood. Because your voice isn't built for the surface. It's built for depth. And that depth is your superpower. You don't do shallow. You don't do small talk. You don't do empty noise. You speak when there's something to shift. And when you do, even if it's one sentence, it stirs something ancient in the spirit realm. Chosen one, that's not random. That's inheritance. You inherited a sound that's been passed through generations of silence. You are the first in your line to carry it without shame, to speak it without fear, to release it without apology. But with great sound comes great responsibility. That's why alignment matters. You must guard your mouth. Don't let it be a vessel for gossip, pettiness, or bitterness. That's how your weapon gets dulled. You've been given something precious. Protect it. Speak when it's time. Silence when it's wise. And discern when to wait. But never confuse waiting with withering. Even in silence, you are building power. And when the moment comes, your words will be sharp and spirit-filled. You may not always feel qualified. That's okay. Moses didn't either. Jeremiah didn't either. But God doesn't call the loudest. He calls the aligned. He doesn't use the most eloquent. He uses the most obedient. So stop waiting to feel ready. Start moving from the knowing that you were born for this, that your voice isn't a coincidence, that your tone isn't random, that your story wasn't wasted. There is fire in your breath, there is thunder in your whisper, there is healing in your honesty. And when you start walking in that truth, your voice becomes more than communication. It becomes divine collaboration, a collaboration between your humanity and God's divinity, a harmony between earth and heaven. That's what your voice was made for. Chosen one, you have to understand something. Your voice is one of the last weapons the enemy wants you to discover. Because once you discover it, once you really use it, You start creating movement. You start shaking foundations. You start becoming dangerous in the best way. The enemy can't afford that. So he attacks your confidence. He attacks your throat. He attacks your clarity. He surrounds you with people who don't value your insight. He puts you in atmospheres that make you second-guess your sound. Why? Because if you ever fully activate, it's game over for him. So here's your confirmation. Activate. Speak, write, declare, sing. Teach, lead, guide, release. Whatever form your voice takes, use it. Stop delaying. Stop doubting. Stop disqualifying yourself. The world doesn't need another copy. It needs your original frequency. The world needs the sound that only you can carry. You don't have to sound like them. You don't have to impress them. You have to obey him. There's a rhythm that comes with using your voice consistently. You build trust with yourself again. You build trust with your calling again. Every time you speak with intention, you train your spirit to show up with purpose. You stop operating from fear. You start moving from overflow. And overflow is what opens doors. Overflow is what attracts alignment. Overflow is what transforms rooms. Speak from overflow, not from desperation, not from a need to be heard, but from fullness, from wholeness, from truth. And when you do, watch the shift. Watch how fast your environment catches up to your energy. Watch how quickly opportunities start flowing to your obedience. Because God blesses the bold, not the arrogant, not the prideful, the bold, the ones who choose to trust the voice they were given. And if you've gone years ignoring it, that's okay. The delay didn't destroy it, it deepened it. Now it's richer, now it's wiser, now it's forged with fire. And when you finally speak, it won't just sound different, it will feel different. You'll know it. You'll feel the vibration in your bones. You'll feel heaven leaning in. You'll feel chains breaking, not just around you, but within you. Because the moment you stop ignoring your voice is the moment everything changes. Chosen one, there is a realm of reality you've yet to fully step into, a dimension that only unlocks when you speak with divine awareness. This is where your greatest weapon begins to move differently. It's no longer just words, it becomes command. You begin to operate not only as one who believes, but as one who enforces. And that's what the enemy has always feared. Not just your faith, but your function. Not just your identity, but your impact. You were never meant to stay in the background. Your voice was not made for the shadows. It's not accidental that you feel things deeply. It's not a coincidence that your silence feels uncomfortable now. It's because your assignment is maturing. Heaven is pressing on you, not to punish you, but to provoke the sound you've been withholding. The time for holding back has expired. This is the season of holy release. And as you begin to speak again, not for attention, but for alignment, you'll notice something strange at first. Resistance, misunderstanding, discomfort, even opposition. But don't panic. These are not signs that you're doing it wrong. They are signs that the weapon is working. Your voice is disrupting what darkness worked hard to stabilize. Every word you release, in truth, shakes something loose. You were not sent to entertain. You were sent to activate. That's why your words won't always be pretty. They won't always be poetic. Sometimes your voice will be fire, other times, water. Sometimes it will bring comfort, and sometimes it will bring conviction. And that's exactly how it should be. Your voice must reflect the fullness of your spiritual arsenal. You were not made to play one role. You were made to be a walking instrument of heaven, adaptable, powerful, and ready. But let's get practical. How do you begin to use the weapon you've ignored for so long? First, you have to forgive yourself for silencing it. You may have stayed quiet to survive. You may have thought it wasn't your time. You may have believed you weren't ready. But that was then. This is now. You're no longer hiding. You're healing. You're no longer shrinking. You're standing. And the first release must be one of forgiveness. Say it. Whisper it. Declare it. I forgive myself for the silence, and I choose sound. Second, listen before you speak. Your voice is not meant to be reactive. It's meant to be redemptive. There is power in a pause, power in presence, power in the moment before the sound. When you learn to tune in to divine timing, your voice becomes precise. You don't waste words. You don't speak out of emotion. You speak from instruction. That's when your words carry fire. That's when your voice becomes a sword. Third, train your voice in private before you use it in public. Your spiritual authority is not proven on platforms. It's built in secret. Practice declarations in your home. Speak life over your sleep, over your mirror, over your morning. Speak into the air when no one is watching. That's when your weapon becomes sharp. That's when your voice learns its own frequency. Fourth, protect your voice. Be mindful of who and what you let influence your speech. What are you listening to? What are you repeating? If your voice is your weapon, then your ears are your gates. What enters through your ears affects the quality of what exits your mouth. You cannot speak life if you're constantly consuming death. You cannot carry authority if you're soaking in confusion. Protect your gate. Stay in environments that feed your purpose, not your fear. Fifth, speak even when your hands are shaking, even when your voice cracks, even when you feel unqualified. This is the step most chosen ones avoid. The messy beginning. But don't let the mess stop you. Start small. Whisper if you have to. Write if it's too hard to speak. Sing if the words get stuck. But release something. The moment you do, your weapon responds. Your voice begins to remember its power. It remembers the fire. It remembers the call. And finally, keep using it. Consistency matters more than confidence. Every time you speak truth, it gets stronger. Every time you choose to stand when it's easier to stay silent, the heavens take note. Your consistency builds momentum, and momentum opens realms. Realms where manifestation becomes rapid, where clarity flows, where breakthrough is the norm, not the exception. Chosen one. Do you realize how many miracles have been waiting on your voice? Not your job, not your intellect, your voice, the sound of obedience, the sound of surrender, the sound of someone who finally remembered who they are. There are chains that will not break until you speak. There are doors that will not open until you declare. There are destinies that will not align until your sound is released into the atmosphere. You've underestimated the reach of your voice. You thought it ended at the ears of those who heard it. But no. It echoes into realms you can't yet see. It travels beyond the moment. It lives beyond the sentence. Every true word becomes a living seed, and those seeds take root. In hearts, in atmospheres, in timelines, your voice has already traveled further than you think. And some of you need to hear this clearly. It's not too late to pick it back up. You may have buried your voice under years of trauma, years of rejection, years of staying small, but it's still there, still burning, still holy, still waiting. You have not disqualified yourself. If anything, you've been prepared in silence. And now, with fire in your lungs and clarity in your spirit, you can wield your weapon with wisdom. There's a world within you that's never been spoken, a truth only you can carry, a message only you can deliver. You don't need permission. You already have the assignment. The only thing left is activation. Your voice is the switch, and the time to flip it is now. No more delay, no more shrinking, no more silence where there should be sound. You are no longer waiting for the world to validate you. You're responding to the divine who already commissioned you. This is not about being perfect. It's about being present. Present with your purpose. Present with your weapon. Present with your sound. You were born to be heard. But more than that, you were born to shift. You don't speak to impress, you speak to impact. And that impact begins the moment you stop ignoring your voice and start honoring it. This is your greatest weapon, and it's time to use it. There is a shift that happens the moment you reclaim your voice. It is subtle at first. A deeper breath, a more upright posture, a renewed fire in your belly. But then it starts to ripple. It changes the way you see yourself. It changes the way you respond to pain. It changes the way you interpret delay. Because now you understand, your voice was never just a feature. It was a frequency, a divine tool given to you, not just to express feelings, but to execute faith. Chosen one, the more you use your voice in alignment with heaven, the more your territory expands. And not just physical territory, but spiritual dominion. You start to notice that what once intimidated you now has to adjust to you. Rooms that once silenced you now pause when you speak. Atmospheres that once drained you now shift when you enter.